Welcome back to my channel. Now summer's almost over, but we still want to keep up with those math concepts, don't we, grade 7? So here's a video to do with ratios and proportions.
It's like every day.
So let's start with this question, shall we? Mick paid $2.94 in sales tax on an item that cost $42 before tax. At that rate, how much would he pay in sales tax for an item that costs $58 before tax? Okay, so this is a classic proportions question, and you have to set it up as such. So the first thing you see is that Mick paid $2.94 in sales tax on an item that cost $42 before tax. So $2.94 on an item that costs $42 before tax. So you want to set it up with as a proportion with equal ratios on both sides, right? So we have $2.94, and this side of the proportion is it costs $42 before tax. And then on this side, you want to have the same category that they're talking about lining up on the other side of the equal sign. So the question is, how much would he pay in sales tax? So if this is $2.94 in sales tax and they want to know how much he's going to pay in sales tax, this is our X that we're trying to find out then, because the item before tax costs $58. So we're going to put the 58 down here. So once you've set everything up from the question in their relevant proportion areas, right? $2.94 sales tax, we don't know the sales tax, that's what we're trying to find out. $42 before tax, $58 before tax. Once you've set it all up, you go ahead and you cross multiply. So 58 times $2.94, and how you would set that up, because there's a decimal in the $2.94, you'd say $58 and no cents, and then you would multiply that by the $2.94. This thing is really bleeding into the paper, isn't it? But I'm sure you can see okay. And then you would multiply that. I'm not going to do the whole calculation. I'm just going to give the answer right now for time. So the answer for that is 170 and 52. Right? That's not the final answer though, because that was the first half of the cross multiplication. So now you have to do this side, but in order to get this side, and I will encourage you to all go to my proportions video that I will link a link it in the description box. Right, I'll link it in the description box for you, that video talking about proportion. So 58 times 294, 42 times the X. But because we don't know that, we have to do the opposite operation then, which is division. So then $170.52, and you'd have to divide that by the 42 to get the X. So 170.52, and that would have to be divided by the 42. Right, like I said before, I'm not going to do all the calculations of working out because of time, but 42 goes into this number 4 times, and you're going to get 06. So the answer then, how much would he pay in sales tax for an item that costs $58 before tax? The answer would be $4.06. This next question deals with a graph. As you can see, it has a little bit of an introduction here. It has the graph here, and then it has questions down here. So let's do it one little area at a time. So a grocery store sells sliced turkey. The graph shows the relationship between the weight of the sliced turkey and the total cost of the sliced turkey. 2 points R and W are labeled on the graph shown below. So here you can see the graph, and then we have the W is here, and then we have the R here. On the X-axis, we have the weight in pounds, and on the Y-axis, we have total cost in dollars. Question is asking, which statement about the graph is true? So is it A, B, C, or D? So let's have a look. Let's eliminate one at a time. So point A. Point R means that the unit rate is $10 per pound. Well, let's have a look. So here we have, you have the W, and the good thing about the W is it's giving you the coordinates 1 and 2.5. So this means it comes in the X, Y order, right? So this is the X. So on the X axis is the weight. So what the W plot is saying is that 1 pound costs $2.50. And what the R is saying, because the X is first and the X axis is weight, so R is saying 4 pounds costs $10. All right, so let's have a look at our choices. So like we said, R means that the unit rate is $10 per pound. Well, that's not quite right, right? $10 per pound is not correct because this is showing 4 pounds cost $10. So we can eliminate A at this point. Let's look at B. Point R means that the unit rate is 4 pounds per dollar. Let's have a look at that. Go back to R again, and the unit rate is 4 pounds for $1. Well, no, because the 4 means weight, right? So 4 pounds for $1, no, that's not correct either, right? Because remember, this 10 is the dollars, so that's not right either. So let's look at C. Point W means that the unit rate is $2.50 per pound, meaning, remember, per means 1. So point W means that the unit rate is $2.50 for 1 pound. And that is what we saw here, isn't it? So for 1 pound, the X is weight, remember. So for 1 pound in weight, it costs $2.50. That's looking pretty good. But let's look at D just to make sure that it is, the answer is C. Point W means that the unit rate is 2.5 pounds for $1. Well, we know that's not correct, right? Because the first one is the weight in pounds. So it's not going to be 2.5 pounds for $1. So we know that this answer, so there was no working out there, but the answer is definitely C, because you're just doing a process of elimination according to the ratios of X and Y on the graph. The answer is C. And let's take a look at this question. The population of a certain town is recorded every 5 years. The town had a population of 4,500 people in 1995. The population increased by 15% from 1995 to 2000. The population decreased by 4% from 2000 to 2005. Then the question is asking, what was the town's population in 2005? So this is one of the typical questions where it's very wordy, and what you have to do then as the student is break it down, right, one by one, piece by piece, right? So we have our choices, which we have 4,526, 4,968, 4,955, or 5,833. What's the first thing we have to do? Well, the best thing I would say is to write everything out, right? So it said in 1995, the population was 4,500 people, right? That's the first part. No working out to do there, but you are going to come off of this number to be able to find out for the next 5 years what the population was, because it increased by 15%. So from 1995 to 2000, it said that the population increased by 15%, right? So usually you would have to change that 15% to a decimal. If you're not sure how to do that, it would be 0.15. You just put a decimal in front because you're multiplying by, dividing by 100, which will bring it back this way. Will bring your decimal back this way. But if you're not familiar with all of that, you can still use the 15, and then what you would do is you would multiply 4,500 or 4,500 and multiply that by 15 to get what the answer is of that percent, right? So then what you would say is, let me write it here. So you would say 4,500 times the 15, right? If you didn't know the decimal, this is just, I'm doing it based on without the decimal conversion, right? And then I'm not going to do any calculations, but it would come to 67,500. But then because you're not using the decimal, you would get rid of these two zeros at the end because you would divide by 100. Dividing by 100, you get rid of those two zeros. So the answer is 675. Then that is based off of the 15% of 4,500. Then you would use this number and add it to the 4,500 to get that 15% increase, right? So you would add the 675 to the 4,500. So 4,500, and then you'd add the 675. Not doing any calculations, that would come to 5,175. That is the town's population from the year 1995 to 2000. But what they want to know is, right, they want to know what was it from 2000 to 2005. So let's write our little bits here. So you got 2000 to 2005. They said that it decreased by 4%. Now, if you are a converter and you want to convert that to decimal first before you do your calculations, that would convert to 0.04, right? That's for the decimal people. I'm not doing the decimal working out today. I'm just doing it as if it's just 4, right? So now you're taking the 5,175 and you are multiplying that by 4. Right? No calculations. The answer would be it'd be 20,700, but you're going to have to get rid of these two zeros because you would usually divide by 100 if you're working from the decimal perspective, but we're not, right? But so you have to take those two zeros off. So it's 207. And then remember, it was a decrease. The question said a decrease of 4%. So 207 is 4% of 5,175. Now you have to subtract, right? Because it did specify a decrease. So you're doing 5,175 minus this 207. And that would come to 4,968. And let's see, what does that match? Let's go over here, and what do we see? It matches the answer of B, 4,968. So you can see that questions like that with a formulation to do with percentages still comes under the umbrella of ratios and proportional relationships. Like, comment, and subscribe with that notification bell so you know every time I upload, which is every Wednesday. And thank you for watching. I hoped it helped. And I will see you next time in another math video. Thank you for watching. Class dismissed.